Honest J. Nowak. Oh yeah. A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to HJN. So yeah, I've been going on a roll here lately. There's been a lot of new episodes that I've got going on, and so the pre-recording date here is still May 25th. Nothing's really changing that much because of all this free time I got here. So let me go on ahead and start talking about the Mandela effect. Basically, the process of which that one endures false memory, and of which happens to really exude a lot of different thoughts on the reality of it all. Because, why don't I go ahead and explain the Berenstain-Bears phenomenon. Basically, is it Berenstain, as in Berenstein, or is the E in Steen replaced with an A? That was one thing that we always had trouble with growing up, because right here in the present, compared to how it was like 20, 30 years ago, it was so much different. From our own point of view, we had a whole different look on what the titles of just about every single Berenstain Bears book was. Of course, the authors, known as Stan and Jan Berenstain, or Berenstain, as it probably would have been pronounced because of the way it's spelled. From my own perspective, I have definitely had a lot of Berenstain Bears books growing up, including Going to the Doctor, Going to the Dentist, Forget Their Manners, Don't Watch Too Much Television, and a lot of others. I mean, Berenstain Bears was definitely one of the biggest types of books out there that I had as a young child. But even into my, well, second decade of life itself, at age 10 and onwards, I still had a few of those books. But eventually I did end up getting rid of them, in favor for more complex chapter books with a lot of new vocabulary. And this way, this brain can become as big as it is now. And more importantly, so I can become as more intelligent and as more sophisticated with inner knowledge as possible. That, of course, is one way to put it together. But going back to the Mandela effect and why it had anything to do with the Berenstain Bears is simply because when we were much younger back in the day, we had always thought of it being spelled as Berenstain with an E. But the fact that we now know that it's Berenstain with an A, but yet some people do insist that it's still pronounced as Berenstain, even though there's an A in there. It would clearly change the pronunciation of it all. And if you're not familiar with my episode on phonics, which I had a while ago, then, well, I suggest that you go ahead and check it out if you can. It talks a lot about phonics itself. I might even have to go back to talking more about phonics itself, but in a whole new way, because I've actually gotten a little bit of backlash from it. No pressure, but anyways, to summarize, the Mandela effect, in terms of the Berenstain Bears conspiracy theory that we've had for a long time now, I see a lot of people out there, like myself, going out of our way to try to prove that it was actually Berenstain instead of Berenstain. But considering how I've not had any of the books for about 10 years now, I'd say there would be no way for me to prove it to you. None of my original books are even in my possession. I've got zero of any of the Berenstain Bears titles that I've actually owned as a kid. And I don't really know where to begin here at this point, or to end, but in conclusion, the Mandela effect and the way that it plays off in describing false memory, which does lead to a lot of controversy surrounding certain topics out there in life. There's really not much else that the Mandela effect had been utilized based on other people's false memories that they've had over their lifetime, but who knows, really? It could actually be an interdimensional crossover in the same way as was depicted on the web series Angry Video Game Nerd. It might be a plausible cause. Small changes in life might have occurred throughout the last couple of decades. So who knows what really happened here. But I'd say that's pretty much just enough and all that point right there, because it's getting to be as creepy as it was shown on AVGN. So if you want to see more, go down to my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.